Because those mentioned in the email are minors, their names have been changed to Jane and Joe. Here's what the email says. My best friend was at a party Saturday night with Jane, and she was upset about something that Joe had said to her. She said that about a little over a year ago, she had sexual intercourse with Kendra Johnson while she was dating Joe. Joe found out and threatened KJ. KJ told Joe to meet him in the old gym after 3rd block and he would have his knife ready. Joe and Joe's friend met KJ and killed him. Joe has also been heard admitting to killing KJ more than once over the phone. His brother also got drunk at a party on the 4th of July and told many people that Joe killed KJ and that Joe's brother was tired of keeping it a secret. And my sources told me one of the boys in the email is the son of an FBI agent. His father originally told him not to talk to investigators, but is now forced to talk because of a subpoena.
There's been several people that has come forward with the truth, but then you got them going to jail, being locked up, being silenced if you say anything, being threatened.
A supposed lead in the Kendrick Johnson investigation has fizzled.
We identified the source of the email yesterday. We went and interviewed that person last night. What we found was they admitted they had sent the email, but they did it out of a genuine interest in the case. That this is information they had heard, nothing firsthand, all rumors and speculation.
And the other guy, he was telling people about what happened to Kendrick, and they found out and they got him in there and kept him for so many months. Nobody could get him out. And then when he got out, he recanted the whole story. He said he wasn't telling the truth.
When it comes to justice in this county, it's more about who you know. In this case, you have Lowndes County High School, the superintendent's office, the GBI, the FBI, and the DOJ.
The cover-up started with one of their own GBI agents and his children, and when they found out it was him, the cover-up started there, and then it trickled on down to the medical examiner, then on over to the funeral home, all that. It was just all this just going on, and I'm like, but y'all will go through all this just to cover for these children.
I think lots of people know, just covering it up, because they work together.
But Stroud was the main one that we were talking to, and so he would just keep coming and give us like different little lies, and every time he would come back with a story, we would come back and tell him, that's not so.
Then, in November 2015, the U.S. attorney in charge of this case, Michael Moore, suddenly resigned. This was astonishing because this was the attorney who put the Bell Boys as the target of the investigation.
Michael Moore, I don't know. I know he ran scared. Like, these people here scared him out of his job. I know that. Because how do you come out and say you're going to take this case and look at it at every angle, but as soon as it get hot, as soon as you get threats, you go run and take cover?
When Michael Moore resigned, his cases went to his successor, except Kendrick. For some reason, KJ's case was moved from Georgia to Ohio.
Going to Ohio with this case was like mind-boggling to me. There had to have been discussions in Washington as to how you're going to have a change of venue from one state to another state.
I think that your prosecutor is really the gatekeeper for the court system, for the justice system. And if you're not willing to keep the gate, that means nothing.
How the U.S. attorney for the Middle District of Georgia all of a sudden just abruptly quit his position and joined a law firm in Atlanta.
At Pope McGlamry, we represent people who find and report the waste, fraud, and abuse of taxpayer money. We handle these cases, sometimes called whistleblower or false claims cases, for all kinds of individuals.
I mean, why?
Why?
Yeah, why? The question is why? You have to ask the question, why all of these whys?
We got to the point where we really thought either we're going to make an arrest of him or he may have been getting indicted. But for us to get a notification that we were no longer going back to Georgia, I was like, huh? That's impossible. No, you're not going back. You have work to do in D.C. I'm like, what work?
A very disappointing day for the parents of Kendrick Johnson, 3.5 years after the 17-year-old was found dead in his high school gym. Kendrick Johnson's parents say they're not giving up on either civil or criminal charges in his 2013 death. They say federal prosecutors told them there was not enough evidence to pursue a criminal case, but they still believe he was murdered by schoolmates. And Monday, the Johnsons said federal prosecutors didn't entirely rule out that possibility. They simply concluded there was not enough evidence to prove it.
And they all but came out and said they know he was murdered, but nothing to be done about it.
The jury has just come back and has returned a verdict of not guilty. Thus, the defendants, Milam and Bryant, are free men in this community of Sumner, Mississippi. How do you folks feel now it's all over? Roy, how about you? I'm just glad it's over. They love you? I am good. Mrs. Bryant,
We, law enforcement, Justice Department, we let them down. We let them down, man. And that's just not, we're not supposed to let families down.
We started the room, it's probably about 7, 8 of them.
It was all DOJ representatives.
Yeah. So they basically said, they didn't have enough evidence to prove a reasonable doubt. They didn't say they didn't have no evidence. They said they didn't have enough to prove it. Do you know what they said? The shoe was planted there. So what they tell you?
The DOJ said that?
They said right there in the meeting that the shoe was planted there. Mr. Johnson, you're right. The shoe was planted there.
You would sit in the room with us and tell us, you know that somebody planted that shoe under Kendrick's head, but yet y'all still can't call this a murder.
She said, we know, Mr. Johnson, we know something happened, but we just don't know who did it. She said Dr. Anderson's report is the most accurate report.
I just felt like we still wasn't gonna stop, regardless of them dropping it, whatever. We still gotta keep going. They can drop it, but we not gonna drop it.
This town feels like they really run the world. 7 judges recused themselves. How? 7. How? When this is your job, I don't care because that's your friend.
If it wasn't an FBI agent's kids, would 7 judges have recused themselves?
Legal system, piece of bullshit. The legal line lawyers always become judges most of the time. Not anybody show you how corrupted the FBI is.
We first need to go back to the roots of the organization. A man named J. Edgar Hoover first created the FBI.
The FBI will continue to be objective in its investigations and will stay within the bounds of its authorized jurisdiction.
He ran it with unparalleled control for nearly 50 years. He served through 8 presidents. He collected counterintelligence on every presidential candidate before they were elected so he could control them while they were in office. He was literally the most famous man in Washington and one of the most powerful men in the world for half a century. Once you realize this, it's impossible to ignore the impacts of his tyrannical work still lingering throughout our system today. During his reign, Hoover would say he was protecting America from communists and domestic hate groups. But a closer look at his actions reveals a very different story. What Hoover actually did was create a clandestine domestic terrorism unit named COINTELPRO and ran it with no congressional oversight or even knowledge that it existed.
That's why the FBI is so corrupted now. It started off corrupt.
Destroyed Black America's civil rights movement. It was not until 1971 that the nation heard the name of this program. It took 8 brave activists to break into the FBI building and steal documents proving their illegal operations.
And nobody was held accountable for it. That's why the FBI grew to be a motherfucking cancer.
Intimidation and harassment. COINTELPRO was so far-reaching that there were 50,000 pages finally released just about Hoover's dirty work and a congressional hearing on the matter in 1975. What came out were horror stories of the FBI's racism and bullying tactics.
I've been told for years by, among others, some of my own family, that this is exactly what the Bureau was doing all the time. And in my great wisdom and high office, I assured them they were going pot, that this just wasn't true. What you described is a series of illegal actions intended squarely to deny First Amendment rights to some Americans. That's what my children have told me was going on.
Documents also revealed a bonus payment of $175 to an undercover FBI agent inside the KKK for beating up a black man. Hoover would later tell the agent, "You're one of the greatest Americans this country has ever had." Another shocking page was an anonymous letter to Martin Luther King, which the Bureau wrote and sent to him 1 month before he received the Nobel Peace Prize. The letter berated King, and in the last paragraph suggested he commit suicide.
The Bureau went so far as to mail anonymous letters to Dr. King and his wife, and finishes with this suggestion. King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do it. You are done.
That was taken by Dr. King to mean a suggestion for suicide, was it not?
That's our understanding, Senator.
Decades after Hoover's death, the FBI's actions show they haven't changed. The assault
You see that right now, dealing with Donald Trump.
Continues to this day. We saw it firsthand when many of the peaceful protesters in Ferguson were...
Bitch, what the fuck you talking about, peaceful fucking protesters?
...the FBI as black identity extremists.
Black identity extremists, now considered...
You call that peaceful protesting?
Bureau releasing an explosive new report.
And has the FBI and the American public denounced Hoover? Far from it. Even today, you can go and visit the FBI building in D.C., which still carries his name proudly. And has the FBI been fighting real terrorist hate groups too? Or have they just been focused on the civil rights activists? Well, a 2018 study shows that U.S. hate groups have reached an all-time high.
Yeah, that's what y'all see. That's what y'all see. We don't trust nothing that y'all see. You dig? Y'all put this little movie out, yeah, to show a little bit about what happened with the FBI, but the whole thing is what happened to that man's son. You dig? That's the thing.
Something had to occur. And I really thought that they must have struck a deal with Rick Bell.
He lost his job because the DOJ had evidence of corruption. I say they actually told me that. On the phone, we was on a phone conference. They said, "Mr. Johnson, we're going to tell you, they're not going to lock him up and they're not going to fire him, but they're going to make him resign." They said, "We got evidence."
He going to still get his pension.
And what we going to do, we're going to turn it over to the FBI. And sure after that, he'll resign.
I felt as though if we would have continued our investigation,
yep,
not only would we have made an arrest with bail for obstruction, I really believe we would have got to the bottom of what happened to Kendrick if Bell would have been charged with obstruction of justice. I'm looking at Kendrick's father. I'm looking at myself. And I'm saying to myself, as I look at Kendrick's father, is that I'll probably be in jail for murder.
Nah. You just telling the truth. Because it don't make no sense for the top law enforcement agency to not lay up there and do their fucking job. I want to know, what the fuck do we pay the FBI for? What the fuck do we pay the CDC for? What do we pay the fucking FDA for? If none of these fucking agencies are doing their fucking job, what the fuck are we paying the conscious community for?
It looked like hemorrhage. So we did a third autopsy. It turns out we used the same techniques we did before.
We did show that there had been blunt force trauma to the right side of the chest. So we had 2 areas of trauma for sure. So I'm fairly confident that we pretty much have the mechanism of how this kid died.
So, when you went and you presented your evidence, what happened?
We contacted the medical examiner in Georgia and the state attorney, and I told them that we had the photos, we had the microscopic slides and so forth, and the response we got was, we're not interested in looking at them. Nobody has basically requested to look at the slides except the U.S. Attorney's Office.
Clearly, there's something on these slides that Dr. Anderson made the state of Georgia doesn't want you to see. So for the first time ever, here they are.
You can see here, this is all dried out, embalmed tissue. And when we open this area, we see this distinct area, which includes the cursor to show, of hemorrhage. That red coloration, distinctly different than the other area. Now this is the area under the microscope, and we can see all these red areas here. Now the question then becomes, well, are these really red blood cells? So that's when we do the immunohistochemistry, and that's a picture of the immunostaining, we call it. And the areas that are brown, that's the antibody picking up the antigen, which is the hemoglobin. So that's basically how we prove that this is actually hemorrhage, not artifact. And that made our diagnosis pretty firm that this was area of blunt force trauma to the neck. I sent it to 2 other pathologists to look at myself before we came up with our decision.
Everyone agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't make a murder an accident when it's a murder. How can you? What of his leftovers telling the story that they're still trying to cover? Kendrick is still speaking from the grave.
So let me get this straight. A 5'10" kid decided to go head first into a 6-foot mat, then realized after he was stuck that he was gonna die down there. And then he died down there, stuck. Somehow silently, with a gym full of kids playing basketball and changing classes around him. And then his shoes magically appeared on the top of his body, inside the mat, shoved into the hole. His legs became twisted in the mat. And all of this happened in the middle of the school day in a gym full of kids. Then somehow the videotape from only those moments is missing. Then Kendrick's organs go missing. 7 judges recuse themselves. The U.S. attorney working on the case resigns. And then your case moves to Ohio. Then it's officially closed by the Justice Department, who tells you in a meeting the crime scene has planted objects. Your autopsy report is correct. Your child was murdered, and there's nothing else we can do about it. One thing we kept hearing over and over again was about this missing FBI report regarding the security tape hard drive and the blacked out footage. So we looked into finding that report to see if we could locate it, and we did. However, the report was heavily redacted. But then we were able to find the unredacted FBI report, and what we discovered blew us away. You see, in the redacted report, you can barely see any of the video frames. Most of the frames are blacked out, and the ones with KJ are barely recognizable. In the unredacted report, we were able to see all the video frames in full color. The report follows KJ, Brian, and Brandon's movement throughout the school for the entire day and records where they were. Not only is this further video evidence that the Bell boys were on campus when KJ went missing, we found something that the FBI clearly didn't want us to see. Let us put them side by side so you can see what we found. Here they are. Can you see something a little odd? Look closely. There appears to be a frame on both pages that matches. How could this be? What tipped us off is KJ's yellow folder. We were going through Brian's movements, and all of a sudden, KJ's folder appeared on screen. That's right. There's a frame on KJ's side and Brian's side that is identical. The boys are standing seemingly right next to each other in the hallway.
Did you see Kendrick?
But he said he ain't see him nothing there one time tonight today.
Seeing the alleged killer of KJ standing next to him in the hallway the day he died in school has sent chills down our spines. How did no one see this frame?
They did see that.
The FBI
They seen that. FBI is covering this up for his daddy, man. That's why I told you, we don't need the FBI. The FBI is a rogue agency that needs to be shut the fuck down.
But what we do know for sure is that we have more facts now than we ever had. And this case needs to be reopened and re-examined with a fine-tooth comb. After finding this game-changing evidence, our crew flew to Georgia to show Kendrick's parents as soon as possible.
Have you seen that frame?
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe that? They were next to each other. That's the morning of. And that's in their own report. And we have their paperwork. And they saw that.
All the adults, authorities, and school personnel show you to the extent that how much they covered up.
How are you feeling right now?
It's crazy. Just to let you know we were right in there all along.
What do you think is going to happen when we release this photograph?
Nothing.
Try to come out with some more live.
Yep, nothing.
What do you think they're going to say about it?
Nothing ain't gonna happen because that's the FBI covering shit up.
In their own report?
In their own report.
Yep.
All along, we know it was bullshit.
Yep.
We know it was bullshit. They pushed a real large social media campaign against us about Kendrick and Brian. They never see that, none of that day. And go and show you. We was right, they was lying the whole damn while. Yeah. That's what they done.
After KJ's mom told our crew she thought they were gonna say that we faked this photo, we decided to go back into the FBI's report to see if there was anything else we can show to prove it. Lo and behold, the page after the photo was a grid the FBI wrote describing each picture.
Wow.
In their own words, they wrote, quote, KJ observed in covered walkway moving towards camera. Bell observed in same location at this time. So there you have it. The FBI not only included the photo of Brian and Kendrick in their report, they included a spreadsheet explaining the photos that back up exactly what we are seeing. KJ and Brian standing next to each other the morning this all happened. After showing our new evidence to the Johnson family, we flew to D.C. to get a third-party perspective on this FBI report from Mitch. KJ and Brian standing next to each other the morning this all happened.
Hold up. I'm stuck.
Nah.
I'm stuck because if the footage was there, and if the footage was there, I don't recall seeing this footage. And I clearly remember going to the FBI office in Atlanta when I first got involved in the case. I I've never seen this. Wait. I don't ever recall seeing KJ standing near Brian Bell with a yellow folder in his hand, and just based on the footage, obviously that's here, they're near each other. It may be 10 feet or closer. I can see the public not seeing certain things. I can see the family not seeing certain things, but
I see certain things. It
bothers me because it's something that I should have seen.
Nah.
And why wasn't I given the opportunity to see this?
Yep.
I recall being told that Brian Bell didn't see KJ that day.
No.
And it's obvious just by looking at this footage
he did.
that came from wherever it came from, that they had to have seen each other that day. And oh wow, oh man, I mean, I'm not gonna excuse me, I'm a little messed up right now. To know that I'm seeing something now that I could not have seen back in 2015 when I was involved in the investigation, sort of kind of make me think that I wonder about some other things I did not see, or some other things that maybe I wasn't supposed to see. And when you're following the evidence and you're steered off in another direction and you miss evidence, then that most definitely is going to interfere with investigations. If I'm one of the investigators on the case, I should have seen this particular clip, and it shouldn't be because what a filmmaker found that I saw this. How was this filmmaker able to see this particular evidence? And I'm part of the investigation and I never saw it before. And I think that's what's troublesome to me, to see something new. I'm investigating the case, but I don't see it. But someone, a filmmaker, I mean, no disrespect, but the filmmaker, he finds a piece of evidence that I couldn't find. It's troublesome to me, and that's real. Yeah, that's it. Ain't nothing else I can say about that.
What do you think really happened?
I think it was a fight in the gym. I wouldn't say Brian by himself. I don't think he can beat him one-on-one. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he went right in the mat. I think the mat was some shit that was done at the school hours, honestly. I think they jumped him. And they took it too far.
When you look at the investigation, you flip the script, you ask yourself if one of the bellboys had died and Kendrick was the suspect, would the body parts be missing? Would the case have been ruled an accident? Would evidence have been missing? Would the timeline on the video take minutes or whatever, would that have been missing? Would an arrest not have been made?
They'd have found him that night if he'd have been a white boy missing. And then they would have done something about it.
Everybody in the United States should have protection of their rights under the law, and this includes police officers. There are situations where, because of certain circumstances, police officers who are doing their duty become the victims of wrongful lawsuits or wrongful prosecutions.
Ed Meese, the U.S. Attorney General
Legal line lawyer.
Reagan's presidency, is
Legal
one of the
line
leaders
lawyer.
of a group who works behind the scenes, paying legal costs and providing other forms
A legal
of
line lawyer.
assistance to law enforcement officials accused of heinous crimes.
Legal line
Even
lawyer.
after Rick Bell lost his job, they were helping him and his family in their legal battles concerning
Legal line lawyer.
KJ. What this means
That our
is
government
that
money.
KJ's body
Everything
is
was
busy
done.
being exhumed again. Brian Bell is able to play Division I football. But this inequality suffered by KJ and his family is nothing new to black Americans. It's only now, with cell phone cameras and police body cams.
Oh, but y'all reason for putting this out with some bullshit. Cause y'all, I told you it was part of Joe Soros shit.
Man, you understand me?
That fucking defund the police bullshit.
For selling cigarettes or walking in the street. White mass murderers are gingerly arrested and fed hamburgers by the police. If KJ had been white, we wouldn't have had to make this film. Imagine.
Oh, you trying to start division again. You trying to start division again.
Placed by newspaper in his body. Would security footage have gone missing? Everyone in Valdosta knows there's much more to this story than what is in that official report. But no one seems to care. Because to them, kids like Kendrick don't matter. Their lives and stories don't matter. And certainly, their deaths don't matter. Except they do matter.
What do you want? I can breathe. Please, to me about it. I can't breathe shit. Bro, get up, get in the car, man. I will. Get up, get in the car. I can't move. I've been waiting the whole car. Get up, get in the car. Mama. Get up.
In the summer of 2020, a man named George Floyd died on camera screaming, "I can't breathe," while a police officer kept his knee on his neck for 9 straight minutes. An eerie throwback to Eric Garner's last moments. This video of George went super viral. Around the same time, a woman named Breonna Taylor was killed in her home by police during a botched raid in the middle of the night. A public already angry about the coronavirus responded to support these victims. A wave of protests filled the streets worldwide to support George and Breonna's justice.
Waves of peaceful protests marched on bigger than ever before.
No more silence.
From Washington's newly named Black Lives Matter Plaza to San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge to Philadelphia.
This renewed interest into heinous cover-ups of black death in this country led to the public once again pushing KJ's name out into the conversation.
Jacqueline Johnson says justice was never served in the death of her son, Kendrick. Now, with the help of a petition and big-name celebrities, she has hope.
People just don't understand how hard it is to lose a child, but to lose one to murder, senseless murder.
Everyone started posting about KJ, and his story became headline news again in the wake of this new movement happening. A petition starting the year before in support of KJ's justice began to go viral. During the summer of 2020, over 1.7 million people signed KJ's petition.
But because we were a black people...
Guest services, can I help you, sir? Excellent, it's on its way.
Family that wasn't going to do nothing, they done already said, yeah, we're going to give them a couple of dollars and they're going to just go away.
Yep.
Your dollars don't mean nothing compared to that body.
Don't mean shit.
That was mine. That's mine. Baby boy, we doing it for you. Ain't letting that stop us. I had to come check on you. I ain't been out here in a while since your birthday. We're gonna keep raising hell till we get justice for you, baby.
Yo, what you need? You got it, partner.
She used to be the happiest child about going to Lounge High School. That child loved going to school. I can call his name one time. He would get up, even though he wasn't a morning person.
We was always close to everybody, really. But me and him was the closest because we was the youngest, and we always had to be home.
Kid would just go in there and dive on her back and just make her so mad, and she'd get up and chase him through the house, and just, he was just the joy of our life. You know, when I tell you we was a crazy family, we used to wrestle through the house, we used to have water fights,
laughing, cutting jokes. That's all we really did. It was never a dull moment at all. But Kendrick, respectful, loved his family, loved his daddy. Loved his daddy. Oh my God. That's too.
I said, we'll wake up at such time. If he that time come, you with her?
I missed it. I missed that little boy.
For people that don't understand what sex is, just simply, like, what do you say to that?
Tell your sibling that you love them every day. Every single day. It don't matter if y'all mad, y'all disagreeing. Make sure you tell your whole family, like, that you love them. Anything can happen. You can wake up the next day and they gone. You be living with them your whole life.
It's called Stop the Bullshit. And you can't really tell them that you love them if you don't know what love really is.
To be with our kids on Christmas and his birthday.
That bullshit.
I see people every day take their family for granted. And I be trying to tell them, can't do that. Because you end up in my situation. You don't know how to walk in my shoes. I'm going to be able to be as strong as me and my people is. Everybody ain't built to handle what we going through. My husband said that one day he was in the bed after Kendrick died, and he could literally feel Kendrick getting in the bed behind him and laying down with him, because that's stuff they used to sit in the bed and watch football together. I never thought that I had to live without neither one of my brothers. So it being my baby brother, the one that I'm like the closest to, it's very devastating. You always gotta love your people. Can't never let like nothing simple tear y'all apart. Son, I love you, and I know you know that. And you left us because you knew that you had two parents that was gonna always fight for you, and you know we wasn't going nowhere until we get it right, till we make sure somebody's held accountable. Well, brother, I just want to let you know that I love you a whole lot. It'll never change. I miss you. Kendrick, we miss you. And we know that justice is gonna be done. And we know that your spirit is stirred up and you're not resting. I give my life before I let this case go.
You know, me and you was like two peas in a pod. Nothing can break us apart. I hear your voice, and I thank you for the many nights that I would have overslept in my truck. Even today, when I used to have you sitting in the front seat while I was taking a nap, and you used to wake me up. You used to always be poking on me, Dad, it's time to go, it's time to go. I can still hear that same voice.
Thank you. Through going through all this, God is just still so good. He gives us strength, he gives power to endure, knowing the truth gonna come for you, Kendrick. It's coming. It is coming.
Until we meet again, I always love you, son.
And we okay down here. We ain't gotta worry about this. We strong, because we got the most beautiful angel watching over us. I love you. I'll never change. Change. Your name is gonna be known all over this world.
You never look at FBI cover up in there. Wow. And he still get his fucking pension. That's bullshit.